Welcome to Boots in Baltimore. I'm LeeAnn Blanchard. I'm here with Melissa Salzman, owner of Lovelyarns. It's wonderful in here.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, it's a lot of pressure being called Lovelyarns.
Yes.
You really have to make an effort.
Lovely.
Yes, to make it very pretty.
So when I think of yarn, I think of crochet and knit because those are the two things that I know how to do. But the fiber arts encompasses a lot more than just those two. So what all do you do here?
We sell supplies to make whatever fiber something you would like to make. And then we have classes for knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving. We have had basketry classes in the past. We are working on doing a visible mending class. We have drop spinning classes. I said that already. And we've had needle tatting classes before. So, you know, we've had natural dye classes, and we've had beading classes. So, you know, we're pretty open.
Yes.
As far as like fiber art classes are concerned. I keep trying. My husband is a painter, and I keep trying to convince him that he could do like some sort of painting class here too if he wanted. He goes, "What does that have to do with the yarn store?" I said, "Well, you're my husband, and I have the space, and we could do a class, and that would be okay." You know, watercolors like work on paper. Paper's fiber, so.
I think it fits.
Yeah,
but it's definitely more about turning fiber into fabric, not working with finished fabric like a fabric store. So this is obviously a specialty shop. The types of things that you can find here are unique and different. So what makes it different than ye old Red Heart yarn from Joann's?
It's a little more expensive than the Red Heart, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. And certainly, you know, there's always a place for Red Heart yarn if you are doing knitting graffiti projects or crochet graffiti projects. You know, where you make a thing and you put it in an outdoor space and it just stays there in perpetuity. Like the people who wrapped a big giant military tank in pink yarn. I think it was either pink knitting or pink crochet. I can't remember which. Like that's a big famous knitted graffiti project. Some people call it yarn bombing. Some people call it yarn storming. I like the yarn storm because bomb sounds really violent. But so the knitted and crochet graffiti is very cool, and certainly the acrylic Red Heart is great for it because it's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's not terribly good for the environment in the way that wool is. You know, wool and animal fiber products are sustainable. They end up being climate positive. We do have a growing number of knitters, crocheters, and weavers who come in who only want to deal with non-animal fibers. You know, who only want to deal with like plant fibers and such. You know, for whatever their reason, and we have those options for them. And so, the big difference between us and the big box store is we have a wider variety of types of fiber, not just like for spinning fiber and needle felting or wet felting, but also like the fiber bases of the yarns that we sell is going to be much more varied. But also we provide a higher level of customer service. I mean that's the big thing.
And more choice. If you're looking for something that's custom, or if you're looking for, you know, variegations that the big box stores just can't accommodate. In fact, I've seen some like dyeing stuff, and if you're trying to do something that you wear, you may not want 100% acrylic.
Right. I mean, it would be really hot, and it depends on what you'd want to wear it for. It would be really hot. I mean, if you're making, and you know, I don't want to like slam a big box store, and I don't want to yuck someone's yum ever or yarn shame. Like that's the thing, people do that, and I am not behind it because I think, you know, you always when you're making stuff you get the best materials that you can comfortably afford. You know, and I try to have stuff here in a range of price points so there is something for everyone. And we do have some 100% acrylics. I like to think they're a little nicer than what you would find at a big box store. Certainly they're a lot softer. I have some luxury feel acrylic nylon blend, and it feels like cashmere. It does not cost the same as cashmere, but it feels like cashmere. But I mean, yeah, if you want to make a sweater, depending on what season, you're going to want to use different stuff. I would not recommend the Red Heart for a sweater unless you want to be really, really hot. But it's great for like Afghans, and if you want to like make things for the homeless, that sort of thing. Like it's great for that.
Mm-hmm. So, I did have a question on the weaving because that really intrigued me. So, when people take your weaving class, it isn't just you and one person on a loom. It's several looms in one space.
Mm-hmm. So our small little store, we have our shop occupies the first floor of our building, and then on the second floor, right above where we are sitting here, is our kitchen, which is storage space. And then in the middle is a multi-use classroom. And then over the front of our store is our weaving studio, which has 4 floor looms. And they were all hand-built by Maycumber Looms up in Maine. And I chose to purchase our shop looms from Maycumber because they are geographically closer to us and therefore cuts down carbon footprint. Each loom is hand-built by this guy named Eddie. They're all numbered. And they're perfect size. They are called Baby Max, so they're a smaller size. A lot of times people picture like a floor loom, a weaving loom. Right, and it's the big giant 48-inch wide monster that lives in your room, or or bigger, because they make them huge to make industrial size fabrics. Ours have a 20-inch weaving width, and they each have 8 shafts. So that's 8 sections that can move up and down to change your shed. That's a little triangle where you shove the shuttle back and forth. So you can do a multitude of designs, which are called drafts in weaving. And I wanted to have the 8 shafts in our looms because it gives our students so much more flexibility about the types of designs and the types of fabrics that they can create on the looms. And our little weaving studio is big enough. It holds 4 floor looms. So we have 4 students, 4 spaces for students in each weaving class we do. And our weaving instructor, Claire, is wonderful. She's wonderful. I can't say enough good things about Claire. And Noelani, who was our instructor before Claire, also is wonderful. And these women are great. They're avid weavers, very passionate about what they do and about fiber craft in general.
So then, after students have taken the class, can they rent time?
Yes, absolutely. We have weaving passes available for a day, a week, a month, and 6 months. And of course, the prices vary accordingly. Our month-long weaving pass is $250, which, if you notice, is a little less than the weaving class, because when you are here for the month, it's like self-guided independent study, right? So we assume that you know how to use this stuff upstairs, and that money includes use of the loom, plus you have access to all the materials upstairs, including yarn, peacock feathers, whatever you want to put in. Yeah, weaving's very artistic. You can throw in there whatever you want. You can melt crayons, you can dye your warp while it's on the loom, you can embroider while stuff is under tension, you can add beads, you could weave with baby doll parts, you could use telephone cords. Sky is the limit. You can be as wild and crazy as you like. Or you can, follow a draft and be very structured. Everybody likes to do things in their own way, and all of them are good and all are valid.
Okay, so this was a hat that I made that is not great, and I just tied it off right there. This is a blanket. You can't tell, but it's going to be a blanket.
Oh, awesome!
So clearly I am a serial project starter. I start but never finish. What do you have for people like me?
Well, if you need help finishing, you can always come in and ask for help. We have 15 minutes of free tech support all the time, no matter what. We don't keep a timer, so we're not timing you. We just ask that you not take advantage of our good-heartedness and generosity. Also, if you feel like you need help and the help is going to be more than 15 minutes, like you're stuck at a particular point in your pattern because you don't understand how it's written or they've given you too many specifics, we also have a private lesson for $35 an hour. And in case you are somebody who doesn't always work well on your own, we have lots of opportunities for social stitching. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. people come and hang out. It's a lot of fun, and it's usually a smaller group Then our Sip and Stitch, which is today, and is every other Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. Dates for the Sip and Stitch can be found on our homepage on our website, Lovelyarns.com. You do not need to RSVP, just come bring your project, BYOB. We don't tell you what kind of project you have to bring. It could be a jigsaw puzzle, cross stitch, doing the crossword puzzle. It could be knitting, crochet, spinning, whatever you want. We just want you to come and be social and have a good time. And then beyond that, like if there's a specific type of help you need, we can also set you up with an instructor for like a pointed private lesson, so you know you can be a success because we want you to succeed.
Yes. Yeah, I'm clearly comfortable with flat, but three-dimensional intimidates me. So I was looking on your website, and you do a ton in the community. So tell me about the 500 Hats Project.
The 500 Hats Project is awesome. It is my favorite, and it was started by Sue Caldwell, the first Mrs. Lovely. I took over the shop from Sue January 1st, 2017, and with that takeover, I also got to take over the 500 Hats Project. So this is a project where we partner with an area elementary school. Last year it was Frederick Elementary School, and I believe we're working with them again. Their students need to be kept warm. And last year we were able to make hats for every single one of their students. And we also partner with the Young Lawyers Division, who work with a group of needy Baltimore families, and we give them about 150 hats every year for their Christmas party. And any overflow, any hats, scarves, cowls, blankets, mittens, anything that you have made or that you want to donate, bring them to me, and I will forward on to the lovely people at Love and Cornbread. Love and Cornbread, if you don't know, is a local nonprofit group. They meet every Saturday at the corner of North Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, and they give out food and other items to Baltimore's homeless and other people who are in need of such things.
That's amazing. And you also do the Mother Bear Project?
We do. Mother Bear Project HQ is in Minneapolis. And so for Patterns for Mother Bear, we do have a link on our website to where you can go to their website to get a pattern for knitting or crochet to make a stuffed teddy bear. These bears go from us to Mother Bear HQ in Minneapolis. You can either drop your bear off here or you can send to them directly. Either way, we do have some donated yarn here if you want some charity yarn to make. Yeah, people de-stash on us all the time. So we've got charity yarn upstairs for charity projects.
That's amazing.
Yes, I mean, unless you also like to financially support us and buy new yarn, which is great. You don't necessarily have to for your charity projects. I will give you some donated yarn. So Mother Bears go to Mother Bear HQ where they get felted heart sewn on them, and Mother Bear sends the teddy bears to Africa where they go to children who have AIDS and HIV.
That's great.
It's very sweet.
My favorite, though, is Knitted Knockers. Tell us more about Knitted Knockers.
Okay, so Knitted Knockers is a wonderful project. It's currently run by a lady named Barbara out in Washington State. Barbara was a Knitted Knocker recipient when she had breast cancer, and you know it was too close for her to make her own. So a friend made hers for her, and then she thought it was such a wonderful organization that she really took it on and expanded and made it the amazing group that it is today. There are Knitted Knocker groups all over the country. Boobs get distributed to women who've had mastectomies all around the world. The knockers themselves are hand knit or hand crocheted bra inserts, or like soft breast prosthesis that go into your bra after you've had a mastectomy, and it's really nice, and they're free. And we here are partnered with Johns Hopkins Oncology, and also we are partnered with the Breast Cancer Center at Mercy Hospital.
Because recovery takes a while, and you...
Yeah, it's softer, and it's a little nicer than the chicken cutlet that they would give you. Also, and somebody has made it because they wanted to make something nice for you. We accept stuffed or deflated knockers all year round, and then we stuff them and put them, when we have like a big enough box to deliver, then we give them to the Breast Cancer Center, again, either at Hopkins or Mercy, so folks can come, women can get their knockers. We usually have some sort of like knocker approved yarn in stock here, and we will give you a discount on your materials if you say that they are for making knitted knots.
I think that's great. So what was your very first fiber arts project? How did you get started?
Well, I think the first thing I made as an adult was a scarf, and I do not have it. Pretty sure it's just gone. I do not have it. But I learned to knit and crochet when I was little because one grandmother was a knitter and the other one was a crocheter. And then, of course, like, you forget. And then when I got older, my friend Kelly and I were doing Weight Watchers together, and she got us yarn and a booklet and some Susan Bates metal needles from Joanne. And she said, "Here, Melissa, I got us this. We're going to learn how to knit so we can do something instead of, stuffing our face and eating garbage while watching TV." So now, of course, like, I really stuck with the knitting because that was over 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago. And now I'm really good at knitting while eating garbage and watching TV.
I do the same. True confessions. So what is your favorite now? Is it knitting or... Cause
I do all the things. Like, I love knitting and crochet and spinning and weaving, and I love them all equally, but what I pick up the most to my default is I always pick up the knitting first. I know, I love it, and as much as I enjoy doing all the other things, I really love the puzzle of figuring out a knitting problem. I like deciphering the instructions. I like coming up with my own instructions. I'm currently working on a colorwork sweater in a Cowichan style, which is...
Can we see it?
Yeah. It is... They are a coastal Salish people, and you think of Cowichan sweaters, that's like the cardigan that the dude had in The Big Lebowski is Cowichan style. So, my husband and I like the water, so mine is like waves, so it's two different kinds of waves, and then killer whales.
Yeah, you can actually see the motif.
Yeah, and then it'll be this wave pattern inverted, and it's going to have a shawl collar and it's a pullover.
Wow.
Because, I don't know, I just realized I don't really wear cardigans, so I'm not making a cardigan. But we were doing these Cowichan sweaters as a stitch along. So it was like a create your own Cowichan inspired whatever to celebrate Native American knitting and crochet styles, because so much of knitting all around is like you hear about like Estonian and Norwegian and Shetland and Irish lace. If you're doing crochet, there's a lot of really beautiful Irish lace crochet or like broomstick lace. So many things from cold white people culture, and we wanted to I wanted to feature something that was
celebrating Native people.
Yeah, celebrating Native people and celebrating Native Americans.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely impressed.
Thanks. And it's really fun to do. And it's sort of like, body of a sweater is, you just make a tube, so it's like you figure out your gauge, and then it's color by number with a chart. So.
You say that. Three-dimensional. Not good, not good.
We'll get you going.
So the shop is right on Falls Road, and then the avenue just basically runs right into it. So it's very easy to find, but why did you decide to locate here?
Well, it was sort of not my decision. When I took over as the new Mrs. Lovely from Sue, who's wonderful, I know everybody is wonderful. Our fiber people are the best people. The store was already here at this location and had been at this location 5 years prior to when I took over the lease. And before we were at this location, we used to be farther down the street where Luigi's now is on 36th Street. Mm. And we were there, I think, for about 5 years.
But this is perfect, and it's wonderful. Like it's a cute shop. Like you were saying, it gets a lot of foot traffic.
We do. It was like a blessing in disguise for Sue to have moved here. I think she ended up picking this spot because it was still in the neighborhood. The rent was a little less because it wasn't on the avenue. It's avenue adjacent. But we get great foot traffic, and she was saying the foot traffic at this location is better than where we were before because you don't have to walk up a porch. It's also more handicap accessible because you don't have to go upstairs to get into the building. And I think parking is a little easier here than it is directly on 36th Street.
Absolutely.
And after hours, if you come after school is out, you can park in the school parking lot, which is down the street from the store.
Well, I have had a really wonderful time. I've taken a ton of pictures. I think that this is a great place. I will come back. I will come hang out, and I will not commit to finishing any of my projects.
So I celebrate startitis. I embody it. I, at any given time, have 10 projects going. I do finish things. I'll go like in surges. I'll start a whole bunch of things and then I'll finish a whole bunch of things because I get project ADD and I like to switch them around.
It's true. I do the same. Well, thank you. This has been lovely. I really, really appreciate it. Come to Lovely Yarns. It's beautiful. And as she said, yarn people are great people. Thank you. This is Boots in Baltimore.